Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jono Pooch, the Managing Director of DETA Consulting. We have partnered with AMPC to do some work looking at decarbonisation roadmaps for the industry going forward. And now to do that, obviously we've had a lot of information from AMPC themselves. They've commissioned the report, but they've also got a body of information around the current energy use. And as you'll see as we work through the next few slides, understanding current use is then important to then understanding where future use can go. As part of this project, we've also worked very closely with Beam, who are effectively providing that solar specialist information, solar being quite a large opportunity and lots of different options around, power purchase agreements, or do you do it on site? Do you do it on rooftop? Do you do it on ground? Those sorts of things. So that all factors into this report that we are currently pulling together and is about to be released. And then just as importantly, what is the energy market going to do going forward? And that's the role that core markets have played, because projects that may be economic now are great, but projects that might rely on different energy pricing going forward to then be economic then feeds into the timing of what we're trying to do in terms of our overall decarbonisation roadmap as well. So I guess what I've been asked to do is give you a quick snapshot on the work that we've done. And really the focus initially was, what is that current state? So where are we actually sitting now with our energy use, our emissions? And without understanding current state, we can't then make that good plan going forward for future state. So effectively, that's where it comes to at the moment. In terms of an emissions perspective, electricity is quite a large percentage, and this is on average, obviously. So there's a lot of variation within the industry, but on average, electricity accounts for around 50% of total emissions. Thermal energy is around 30%, and then that wastewater sitting at 17% with a handful of others. If we look then at that breakdown of the thermal, a lot of that is natural gas and coal, but we do have some renewable sources as well through biomass, biogas, and wind and solar. And what we've seen over time is that renewable portion is growing all the time, but obviously there's a lot more work to do. So from a sector performance, how we've performed over time, it's actually a really good news story. So over the last 20 years, the average emissions have reduced by around 45% per unit of product. That's a great outcome. It's something that we don't actually talk about very much, which again is reference the need for us to communicate this a little bit better to our key stakeholders. Going forward, if we do nothing else around efficiency or process change, we will see some further improvement, and that is mainly from the greening of the electricity grid. But what we are also showing is that just doing nothing, not surprisingly, is not going to get us all the way down to a net zero future. So what we're trying to do is then lay out what those steps should be for different process users to get to that net zero by 2045 or 2050. So what we've done is we've basically split the industry into four key archetypes, is what we've called them. So we've got a large archetype, which is continuous wet processing, more than 75,000 tonnes per year of production. It covers around 26% of the industry, or the responses that we get from the industry, and they've got around a 10 megawatt boiler. We've got a medium batch rendering type size, around a 6 megawatt type boiler. They cover around 44% of the industry or responses. And then we've got medium, and then we've got small. And so as you can sort of see, what we've tried to do is not necessarily say this is a specific roadmap for a specific site. What we've done is we've sort of bundled sites into four, and then hopefully from a reader perspective, they'll be able to identify with a particular site that sort of suits them, and then follow that through in terms of the recommendations and the thoughts and the technologies that we're sort of thinking about, and that we've kind of surveyed and weaved into the roadmap. So stepping us through just very quickly, I don't have time to look through all of the sites, but if we start with a large site, this is where they've sort of sat at the moment. And what we've done is we've sort of banded this darker blue line is what we can do with the decarbonisation roadmap. And when we look at that, phase one effectively is what is your efficiency foundation? So some sites will have done this already, but there's lots of things that we can do through the next sort of 5 years that have a strong economic return of less than 5 year payback. To float our refrigerant discharge, look at lagging, boiler tuning, insulation of dryers, maintaining steam traps, all of those sorts of things. They're very, very fundamental. They're very simple, but they also have a very short-term payback. A lot of that actually, some sites will be doing well in some aspects of this. Some will need some improvement, but actually the main focus here is cost efficiency, not emissions reduction, because this is the basic stuff that we need to be doing right now. Coupled with that, through that period, through to 2030, we've got this option around solar, particularly right now. The solar proposition is incredibly strong with some support from government and our VEECs and those sorts of tools that allow the economics of that solar, be it through a PPA or be it through on-site solar, to look really, really attractive. And that really does drive down the overall emissions on that electricity side particularly. And then from what we're seeing from the from the economics and the energy pricing going forward is really that thermal fuel switching generally will come a little bit later. So the triggers for thermal fuel switching will be, do I need to invest in my boiler system anyway? If I am investing in that boiler system, that might float the time frame forward. But in the absence of a need to spend big money on a new boiler, then really the economics would drive you to look at that boiler in the sort of mid 2030s and look at heat pumping, biogas generation, and then that final step of being the e-boiler potentially as well. Some of the heat pumping might drift a little bit further forward in terms of timing, but what we've tried to do is stage this in a way that is investable over time for processes. So it's not like we can just click our fingers and do all of this work and get all of this capital deployed purely for decarbonisation in one go. And we've tried to stage it over time. And again, different processes will be on different parts of that journey depending on what they've done previously. And then that last little bit is to look at offsets, purchasing offsets for the last wee bit. But at this stage, with the economics that we're seeing at the moment, we wouldn't look at suggesting that until sort of the 2040s. So if we look at the overall for a large site, the total investment would sit at around $40 million. It's a significant outlay. However, the annual savings at current energy prices would sit at around 7 million, which gives a net payback of around 6.2 years. Now, that's 6.2 years. It's not terrible, but it's not amazing, and it's not immediately investable necessarily in the whole thing. But this is where, when we get our timing right, that payback gets better and better over time, and we would be looking at it being net zero by 2040 to perhaps 2045. Now, what we've done is we've got these sorts of examples for all of our 4 different archetypes. We've got a detailed outline of the different technology that's available and recommended at each step. And hopefully what it does is it provides kind of this blueprint that you can follow or challenge or use with your advisors to test your own plan and to develop your own plan from. And sorry, I've missed the slide. So the total investment over the sector would be around 1.2 billion, net zero by 2045, and all of those cost-saving initiatives would provide MPV to the industry of around 540 million. So pretty significant, but again, 1.2 billion is a massive deployment of capital that does need to be staged and deliberate and invested proactively rather than reactively where possible. So that's all I've got time for. This report is coming out. It's not far away at all. Hopefully what you'll find in there is something that is quite specific and quite detailed for you. And this is really just a snapshot. And happy to take any questions at the